Hello, and welcome to the Real Ghostbusters episode, Halloween 2.5. My name's Andy Mangles, I'll be your host, but with me are the two Emmy-winning writers of this episode. It didn't win the Emmy, but you did. And you are?
Pamela Hickey.
And I'm Dennys McCoy.
And you actually wrote quite a number of the Real Ghostbusters, as well as Slimer episodes.
We did. I believe we wrote 9? Many.
Well, we wrote 5 of the syndicated.
Yes.
I believe we wrote 4 of the network Ghostbusters and 3 or 4 of the Slimers.
Yes.
We're never quite sure because they overlap a lot. And,
They do.
Sometimes they change the titles on us, and we're not sure whether or not it's our episode or somebody else's.
Well, you know, the best thing to do is to go to the DVD set of the Real Ghostbusters, on which this commentary appears, and count them.
Yeah, we actually
we
need
should do.
this so that we can remember our own past lives.
Yes.
Does that happen to you a lot?
A show like this doesn't. This was so much fun to do. It's
Yeah.
like one of our favorites of all time.
Right.
Yeah, this is where we made our bones as writers.
The Real Ghostbusters.
This is where we got to have our fun. Now, this is such a natural, and believe it or not, it wasn't until the second season of Ghostbusters on the network that anybody did anything about Halloween. Well, actually, Joe did the original one of these, which had to do with Halloween at the very end of the first season network. And then this was near the opening of the second season network. And this was only the second Halloween show.
Yes. This was assigned to us.
And these, of course, are the Junior Ghostbusters. This was one of the first episodes to feature them.
Now, you said this was assigned to you, meaning what?
Well, they
just
Len
said
and Chuck,
do a Halloween episode, or
we want you to do the Halloween episode this year
So,
for the Saturday morning show.
right, and we knew that Joe had done the Samhain episode.
The prime time one.
So we thought, well, you know, at that time we were getting a lot of sequels with like Freddy Krueger and all these other different horrors. So let's do a sequel. Mm-hmm. You know, Halloween was out, Halloween 2 was out, Halloween 3 was out. Let's do Halloween 2.5 and stick it in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So we continued the Halloween tradition, but at the same time in these early episodes we had to introduce the Junior Ghostbusters.
Yes. We and Michael Reeves we got together. Len and Chuck said, the three of you get together and figure out how you're going to do the Junior Ghostbusters. And Michael said, why don't we think about them like the Blue Blazer regulars? And that sounded good.
Yeah.
To us, you know, like in Buckaroo Banzai, Blue Blazer regulars, you know, the little kids who help out the big guys.
But at the same time,
sense.
we had to have kids that mirrored the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
So we've got our Egon kid, the one with the brain that you can see there. We've got our Venkman kid, which is the tall kid dressed as the vampire. And then for some reason, the girl became the Ray character, who was kind of logical. But she was kind of a cross between Ray and Winston.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She was a real person, and she was smart, but she wasn't like that spaced out geek. Smart.
That was they're the kid relatable element
Right.
that they wanted to do. Slimer's the little kid, and here are the kids like you can fantasize. If you're a kid watching this, you're supposed to be able to fantasize that this is you with the Ghostbusters in New York with Slimer.
Which is flawed thinking, because if you can remember back to when you were a kid, were you interested in being like the kid that talked to the Lone Ranger, or were you interested in being the Lone Ranger?
Well, they did some testing in some focus groups and found out that was what children would like to do in that focus group. It's part of their testing, and they think giving children context to perceive these action shows, they were trying to cut the angle down on, you know, runaway concepts.
The problem with focus groups, though, is of course, you know, they can be easily skewed.
Easily.
Oh, sure.
And that a focus group at one point in time will probably be different 2 years down the road. So you do a focus group in 1976 that tells you kids want imitatable, youngsters in their show. That doesn't mean that in 1986 they're going to want those same imitatable youngsters.
That's right. Well, what happened is the Ghostbusters, the movie came out, 84?
Yeah.
84. This was done in
87.
87. a whole new generation of children. About every 3 to 5 years, you get a whole bunch of new little kids in, and they think they have to do things differently for them. And this was when they started putting things into real pragmatic context for children.
And again, you have to remember this was during the Reagan era.
Yes.
And we also had at that time ABC had a group called Q5, which was part of the Rand Corporation, which had a lot of studies about what kids wanted. But as you said, if you go into a focus group and you have children and you're the adult there, you can pretty much get a kid to say anything you want them to say. And so a lot of this was, we want our kids to be wonderful and nice and they never do anything bad, they never take any chances, and they're always protected by adults.
Yeah, under the control of the adults. The adults will always supervise them. A very protected generation.
Right, but that is an unreal supposition. I mean, that's not what kids do. Kids like to run and scream and go as fast as they can and throw things and make noise. And they assume that they don't.
Well, that was when people began putting it into context for children with hyper-organized sports. This reflects that in the culture.
And what we were able to do was, even though the junior Ghostbusters were limited as the kids had to be protected, Slimer himself was a kid, and we could push that more kid-like and more like, wild and frantic with Slimer.
Mm-hmm.
So we make him, you'll see in the show, we make him very close to the group of kids rather than to the Ghostbusters.
He's like the baby brother.
Right.
He's just a baby. I mean, if you were going to play Junior Ghostbusters and you had a baby brother that was there, you can be Slimer.
Right.
For instance.
Talk about Sam Hain here.
Sam Hain was the ultimate straight man.
We really wanted to do a lot more with Sam Hain. We actually wanted him to take a pie in the face and things, and they said no.
Yeah, you see, he wasn't a funny character. He was a genuinely scary, powerful creature.
He was from the scary Ghostbusters episodes, and we came in from the comedic episodes.
Right.
So,
but what you do with the Ghostbusters, when you have a genuinely scary creature, you make sure that Venkman is in the shot.
You bet.
Because that is Venkman's foil. Venkman goes after the authority figures. So when Sam Hain comes out and he's out of the containment unit and he's going, you didn't think that you could actually hold me forever, do you? Of course, Venkman looks at him and said, well, yeah, actually we did.
Yeah.
So you've got that foil, which just people like Sam Hain, these serious guys, it just makes them madder. It makes them crazy. It's almost like a superpower to make fun of these guys.
Right.
Yeah, we always wanted to show Venkman as having that superpower, I think.
But this is a unusually visual episode in that they're wearing their normal costume. Nobody's been in a normal costume.
Well, they were having a Halloween party at Ghostbuster headquarters. And so they were all supposed to be dressed up as characters, too. Later on, they'll get rid of the robes and everything.
Yeah.
This was also our salute to mathematics and geometry.
Yes.
Because what we had to do in order to make the new headquarters of Sam Hain impenetrable, we had to make it according to certain geometric design. So that becomes a part of the plot. How do we screw up the geometry and take away the power of the fortress so that we can get in? Mm-hmm. Now, a very important thing here is that two things cannot go into that building, cannot go past that force field, and that is anything man-made and any human being.
Okay.
So, once you set up a situation like that, you've got to figure out what is my trapdoor and how do we get in?
Well, that would be Slimer or an animal.
It would be Slimer.
Slimer.
Because he's a ghost. So the advantage we have here is just like with Rin Tin Tin, Slimer is their rescue dog.
Right.
He's the guy that's going to go in there and pull Timmy out of the well.
Yeah. Empowering the youngest person.
Right.
Right.
That would be what your educational advisor would tell you.
Oh, and we also got to create this ghost trap.
Yep.
That was fun. It was the first time they had a multiple ghost trap.
It was always fun to be the first one to do something in these, like the Junior Ghostbusters.
And we loved Ecto 1, so we wanted to outfit it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We came from that George Barris mentality and Hot Rod cartoon books and all that stuff. And we wanted to do, cool designs. We wanted cars to do cool stuff.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we fitted this thing up with an automatic photon gun and multiple traps that come out of the side.
That's kid relatable.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, that's what they
hardware.
like.
Yeah.
They want to have that car. They want to go and buy that toy, and it's got all those traps on it and the photon gun, and you can really have a good time.
You can address what the network wants and then what you want.
Right.
You learn to do that. It's not such a bad thing.
Exactly.
The trio of kids just offered to be Junior Ghostbusters. So is this the origin episode then, or is
Yeah, it sort of is. We didn't really do an origin episode with Junior Ghostbusters.
No, we wanted to ease it in organically. Michael was doing an episode and we were, and they just wanted us to get together and figure out what we were going to do so there was no overlapping, so we could
Right.
see.
But the second season simply debuted with these guys here.
Yes.
And accepted already as Junior
Yes.
Ghostbusters.
And see, they have the
little ring?
cereal box
Yeah, I
ring.
was going to say
the licensed
the little
item
ring that they could probably then
Sure.
license and put into a cereal box.
Well, often you'd get a toy list at this time. Before
Yeah.
the FCC came in, they'd say, all right, Kenner's putting out some new toys this year.
Work
We
these
want you
in.
to show Ecto 2, and then they
Yeah.
got their
Yeah, we created Ecto Junior.
Ecto Junior.
Because
They say the toy company wants to do this. That's part of it. What you have to do as an animation writer is you have to address the ancillaries.
Yeah, and we're from the Midwest, and go-karts were really big back
Oh,
then.
yes.
You know, everybody
Everybody-
would take the motor off a lawnmower and make a go-kart. So we thought that's what they do. They can do stuff like that. They're smart.
Sure.
At the same time, you'll notice that the body of the Junior Ghostbusters car is PVC piping
Yes.
instead of metal.
Yeah.
Yes. No metal.
Well, it's something that you could kind of, if the kids wanted to, maybe they could make their own.
No, it's something without any nails.
Oh.
Nail guns, hammers.
Nail guns, hammers,
Pointy-
screws, screwdrivers.
But it's man-made.
Yeah.
It is.
So it still can't go inside.
No, it can't go inside. Only Slimer can.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the no nails. Does that factor into the plot?
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
factor
oh,
into
for
it.
the kids.
This was
Kids
for the
shouldn't
safety
play
of the
with
kids.
nails.
Because they
Oh,
don't want
yes.
kids to pick up hammers and nail
Aha.
things, and they don't want them to pick up screwdrivers or drills or anything
All
like
right.
that.
As
So
I
you'll
was trying to
notice-
figure out how that worked into the plot.
Yeah.
Oh no,
this-
it's yeah.
It's all PVC pipe, which is glued together.
Right, or duct taped.
Yeah, but again, this is a cartoon,
Right.
so nobody really built this. so,
Well,
so-
no, but these are network directives. They're bringing it into reality.
Right.
yeah,
Real things, real children are going to think about this fantasy cartoon.
Right.
right.
They really want to cut that fantasy angle down, yet they want to heighten it in their own context.
This is what
They
used
wanna
to drive
say
us
what-
crazy.
Teach kids what would happen if a demon grabs your underpants.
Right.
Right, and he gets punished for it, of course.
Yeah. But at the same time,
He's sorry
what,
for what he did.
what drove us crazy about this. That's the only thing in this whole one that made us crazy was they weren't running fast enough. We just wish they'd run a little faster when the goblin
Yeah.
was after them.